Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Too tight. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Give me cartels. Cartels. Something's wrong with this. That's easy. Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribaradhari Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrayakacharya Sotur Sata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrayakacharya Sotur Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Srila Sachitananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhatt Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासुदेव गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय श्री न्यू द्वारकापुरी धाम की जय श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बालादेव सुभद्रा जी की जय श्री श्री परम करुणा गौर निताय की जय गंगमाय जमुनामाय की जय महारानी तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय Srila Prabhupada की जय Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution की जय Sri Brihat Mirdanga की जय The King of Books Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam की जय Shri Samaveta Bhaktavrinda की जय All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vracharine Nirvishesha Srinjavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I have requested permission from His Grace Sura Prabhu and he has graciously granted, that I will also speak on the text he spoke of very nicely. It's just that I felt some inspiration. It's been difficult for me to give class in the past few years, and one thing has been illness, and another thing has been to find the inspiration to say something that may be of some value to you, such an august and exalted meeting of Vaishnavas. So as I was returning now to a little better health and was listening to classes, and I was being asked repeatedly to give class, so I found a little inspiration, I may say, on particularly in the purport, in the text and purport to this first text of the 9th canto, chapter 4. Sura Prabhu explained very nicely the whole text, and mostly focused on the main thrust, the main point of the text, which is inheritance. So he very nicely spoke about that, and mentioned briefly also on the topic of brahmacharya. So that was the the point that caught, the words that caught my eyes, my mind. Particularly in the purport you will see Brihat Brata. And that Brihat Brata will take us to another text from Srimad Bhagavatam. that I will like your help in understanding or in confirming my understanding. Quite a serious text. It may be news to some of us, what that text, and particularly the purport. So what we have to understand is the text, obviously, through the enlightenment of Srila Prabhupada's illuminating words in the purport. But before, I wanted to express how how happy it is, emotional moment for me to be here once again, allowed by Providence and by all the assembled Vaishnavas to be able to address this meeting, which I have never taken for granted. We are here, I just, not that I'm saying anything new to all of you, but as a glorification to the Srimad Bhagavatam, which should be always, we do in so many ways. Everybody, every day, glorifies the Srimad Bhagavatam at the beginning of class in different ways. And I want to glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam by this time, by reminding all of us what we are doing here. What we're doing here, and what we're doing here means who is here? Who is here? What is our belief? This movement operates on the transcendental plane. You may remember in Believe in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada mentions that there used to be a time that the demigods used to visit this planet. Remember? Prabhupada says that. And of course, he now says they don't do that now. It's become a low-class place. It's a low class to come here. But what has not been said by Srila Prabhupada on the contrary, and he has said the contrary, what he has not said is that the great sages and personalities, he has been speaking of the demigods, and certainly, with all respect, they're great personalities. But he has not said anything about, and he has said, and I'll remember one instance, it's recorded, it's documented, that he has not said that Shukadev Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya and Sutta Goswami and Narada Muni and great sages do not assemble, he has not said, in a meeting like this. Among the wonderful things that we all have expressed about Srila Prabhupada over the years and over the many opportunities, which mean the daily opportunities we have to glorify His divine grace, He has elevated us to this platform. He has elevated to this meeting, Srimad Bhagavatam. It is such a thing, what we have here. And again, not that you don't know, but I just want to take the opportunity to underscore and make us all conscious. You don't know who you have at your side right now, because we can't see. This meeting of Srimad Bhagavatam, as soon as we invoke Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you for doing it loudly, as loud as possible. So that's very powerful. Everything His divine grace has given us is so powerful. And he has made it more powerful. Even the chanting, amazing purport in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that even the chanting of already Hare Krishna is powerful. But by his chanting, it has become more powerful. Amazing. There are aspects and statements in our philosophy that outside of our movement, in other religions they may sound heretic. Remember that statement in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 29, that the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord. Some kind of statement. So, in glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam, I find it that it's very important that we realize every day, this daily meeting, that here we are, the sages of modern days, meeting, and with the audience. We can imagine we don't have an account of what it was the day by day, the journal, the diary of Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami, what exactly happened, and what to speak of the 1,000-year sacrifice, yagya, Bhagavatam yagya, by the sages of Naimisharanya. We don't have it day by day, but we can imagine. And we have a little glimpse of what went on, because we should not minimize this meeting. Sometimes there are controversies, sometimes the speaker may say something wrong, and he may be corrected. So it may look different in that way. We don't hear anybody correcting Shukadev Goswami or Sutta Goswami. But if we remember the history, the actual history, because again, we don't know what was happening day by day. And especially in the 1,000-day sacrifice. The other one, the Saptaha, the 7th day, we're quite sure there was no time for questions and answers, more than the ones that were going on anyway within the discourse and between Maharaj Parikshit. Actually, his question was very much glorified. His questions were very important. But meaning there was no time for argument, for discussion. So it all went straight. But if you remember what actually happened, Maharaj Parikshit, so again, to further glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam, we recollect the history. Maharaj Parikshit was cursed, 1 week to live, and interesting service he was given. What was the service of Maharaj Parikshit? The service of Maharaj Parikshit was to die. That was the service, to die. Interesting, because he had that chance to perform that service before coming out of the womb, if we all remember. He was in the womb and he was attacked. He was to be killed by the Brahmastra, but Krishna saved him. Now what happened this time? So many years later, again, now he's cursed to die, but now there's no Krishna. This time he's not. Why was he saved then and not now? Because this death was the death. He had to die. He had to die. That was his service. It was very important. I always like to mention in this regard also that I was very struck by Prabhupada's explanation that there was no difference between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami as to who would have spoken the Bhagavatam. It would have been the same. I was imagining, I was imagining like a drama, so a rehearsal, and before the rehearsal, when in a drama they're deciding who's going to do what, who's going to be what. I was just imagining that you could imagine Shukadeva Goswami, by this statement of Prabhupada, you could imagine Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj discussing, no, you do it. No, you do it. No, you give the Bhagavatam, the question. No, I'll give the response and you give the questions. And I was just imagining something like that, because it would have been exactly the same. They were of the same quality. But still, it was Parikshit Maharaj who had to die. So what happened when he heard about that? He went, he gave up everything, as we all remember. He went to the forest. And again, the point I'm thinking about arguments, how sometimes we have differences of opinion here. We all have heard from Prabhupada explaining that when Parikshit Maharaj went to the forest, very appropriately, at that time, that's where wisdom was, that's where the sages were. So he approached them. And then there was a lot of confusion. Everybody was giving him a different... He was asking, what to do? I'm going to die in 1 week. What should I be doing? So it is explained that there were differences of opinion. And I'm sure there should be somewhere that the acharyas analyzed the different things that were being proposed. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, something like that. There should be a place where these things were mentioned. How all these... anyway, there was argument. There was argument, so Prabhupada compared it to a meeting when someone, to a meeting in a hospital, like to a meeting of doctors. Just like we have here in America, very common, a second opinion when things get serious. So there was a meeting of doctors, so you can imagine a hospital, and you know those hospitals where they bring the patient into the theater. I believe they call it the theater, and you know there's a auditorium, and all the students are around there to learn something. They bring the patient. And we can imagine doctors discussing what the situation is and everybody having a difference of opinion. So Prabhupada compared it to that. Very nice, very nice. But that's what was happening. And finally, of course, by the arrangement of providence, Shukadeva Goswami was walking, coming along, chapter 19 of the first canto, the appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. So he was coming along, and it was interesting also what was happening. He was coming as a avadut, naked boy, the crazy block, how do you say, the crazy boy down the block. He was coming surrounded by women and children who were joking, cutting jokes and spitting at him and throwing stones and all this thing, and there was all this noise around him. They were all laughing and having fun on Shukadeva Goswami. And it's you can imagine the scene, how the Bhagavatam is very descriptive. As soon as this whole group with Shukadeva Goswami entered the assembly of sages, and all the sages immediately recognized them, which is another thing, by his physiognomy. They recognized who he was. Immediately offered him all respect. So the ladies and the children who were poking jokes and doing all of this, they noticed, and they became quite aware that they had made a very big mistake. So the Bhagavatam describes how very silently they disappeared from the scene. So that's the story of Shukadeva Goswami entering the assembly, and immediately the sages, they all agreed, you better ask him, because there were so many differences of opinion. So in this way, the famous now Srimad Bhagavatam was presented to us. That was the origin of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have now this unique opportunity, ourselves coming from all kinds of backgrounds. We now have the opportunity to meet in this and be part of such an exalted activity as it is the meeting to discuss the Srimad Bhagavatam. So without any further ado, and I'll try to keep everything on time, we'll study today's text and other texts that are connected. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, I'll just read the Sanskrit for invocation. Shri Shukuvacha na bhago na bhaga patyam yam tatam bhattara kavim yavishtam vyabhajandayam brahmacharinam agatam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Shukadeva Goswami said, the son of Nabaga, named Nabaga, lived for a long time at the place of his spiritual master. Therefore his brothers thought that he was not going to become a grihasta and would not return. Consequently, without providing a share for him, they divided the property of their father among themselves. When Nabaga returned from the place of his spiritual master, they gave him their father as his share. Purport. There are two kinds of brahmacharis. One may return home, marry, and become a householder, whereas the other, known as Brihat-brata, takes a vow to maintain a brahmachari perpetually. A brahmachari vow perpetually. The Brihat-brata brahmachari does not return from the place of the spiritual master. He stays there, and later he directly takes sannyas. Because Nabhag did not return from the place of his spiritual master, his brothers thought that he had taken Brihat-brata brahmacharya. Therefore they did not preserve his share, and when he returned, they gave him their father as his share. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Brihat-brata, very simple to understand. Brata is a vow, and Brihat, just like from Brihat Mirdanga, is the big Mirdanga. So Brihat-brata is the big vow. And it's interesting and important how this is the way that brahmacharya is described. Brihat-brata. That's the big vow. And it reminded me immediately of a text in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the second canto, which says something slightly different. Abrihat-brata. Although we don't know, some of us, I don't know that much Sanskrit, but we know that much that generally so many words, when you put an A before, they become the opposite. They become the other thing. So Brihat-brata means the big vow. And Abrihat-brata means those who are not following that, who have broken that vow. You may remember that text. Padastrayo bahishchasan aprajanam ya ashrama antas trilokyastvaparo griha medu abrihat brataha. This, and that's 2:620. So because of the sandhi, it says Brihat-brata, but it's the sandhi. It's actually Abrihat-brata. There's an apostrophe. Griha medu or Brihat-brata. And it's interesting also to know, we've always heard that Griha medi means rotten householders, something like that, means householders who are trying to just enjoy householder life. But it's not always like that. Griha medi sometimes just means householders. And this may be one of those cases. Padastrayo bahishchasana aprajanam, apraja. So the same thing. Praja means citizen. Very nice this verse, how it describes this point of brahmacharya, brihat and abrihat. Praja means someone who's going to be a citizen. The citizen, the praja, we've heard that. The praja, the subjects of a king. the citizens. So apraja means those who are not to be citizens again, those who will not be citizens. The spiritual world, which consists of 3/4 of the Lord's energy. Another interesting thing. What is the 3/4? What is the 1/4? What is the 4/4? The spiritual world, which consists of the 3/4 of the Lord's energy, is situated beyond this material world. And it is specially meant for those who will never be reborn, those who will not be praja anymore, apraja. Others, grihamedis, who are attached to family life and who do not strictly follow celibacy vows, must live within the 3 material worlds. So this is the point that I said I'd like to at least leave some minutes to get your understanding of what this text means. I'll read the purport and I'll just open it for a few minutes to see if anybody wants to add to this and actually to counteract my understanding. The spiritual world, which consists of 3/4 of the Lord's energy, is situated beyond this material world. And it is specially meant for those who will never be reborn. Others who are attached to family life and who do not strictly follow celibacy vows must live within the 3 material worlds. Also, as an interesting note, Srila Sanatan Goswami quotes this text in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, although I don't remember the context, but you'd be interested to know. Others who are attached to family life and who do not strictly follow celibacy vows must live within the 3 material worlds. I'll give my understanding. This means that grihastas do not enter in the spiritual world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The climax of the system of Varnashram Dharma or Sanatan Dharma is clearly expressed here in this particular verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. The highest benefit that can be awarded to a human being is to train him to be detached from sex life, particularly because it is only due to sex indulgence that the conditioned life of material existence continues birth after birth. Human civilization, in which there is no control of sex life, is a 4th-class civilization because in such an atmosphere there is no liberation of the soul encaged in the material body. Birth, death, old age, and disease are related to the material body and they have nothing to do with the spirit soul. But as long as the bodily attachment for sensual enjoyment is encouraged, the individual spirit soul is forced to continue the repetition of birth and death on account of the material body, which is compared to garments subjected to the law of deterioration. In order to award the highest benefit of human life, the Varnashram system trains the follower to adopt the vow of celibacy, beginning from the order of brahmachari. The brahmachari life is for students who are educated to follow strictly the vow of celibacy. Youngsters who have had no taste of sex life can easily follow the vow of celibacy, and once fixed in the principle of such a life, one can very easily continue to the highest perfectional stage, attaining the kingdom of the 3/4 energy of the Lord. It is already explained that in the cosmos of the 3/4 energies of the Lord, there is neither death nor fear, and one is full of the blissful life of happiness and knowledge. A householder attached to family life can easily give up such a life of sex indulgence if he has been trained in the principles of the life of a brahmachari. A householder is recommended to quit home at the end of 50 years, panchas ordvam vanam brajet, and live a life in the forest. Then, being fully detached from family affection, he may accept the order of renunciation as a sannyasi, fully engaged in the service of the Lord. Any form of religious principles in which the followers are trained to pursue the vow of celibacy is good for the human being, because only those who are trained in that way, because only those who are trained in that way, because only those who are trained in that way can end the miserable life of material existence. The principles of nirvana, as recommended by Lord Buddha, are also meant for ending the miserable life of material existence. And this process in the highest degree is recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam with clear perception of ideal perfection, although basically there is no difference between the process of Buddhists, Shankarites, and Vaishnavites. For promotion to the highest status of perfection, namely freedom from birth and death, anxiety and fearfulness, not one of these processes allows the follower to break the vow of celibacy. The householders and persons who have deliberately broken the vow of celibacy cannot enter into the kingdom of deathlessness. The householders and persons who have deliberately broken the vow of celibacy cannot enter into the kingdom of deathlessness. If they're pious, the pious householders, or the fallen yogis, or the fallen transcendentalists can be promoted to the higher planets within the material world, 1/4 of the energy of the Lord. But they will fail to enter into the kingdom of deathlessness. Abrehat Bratas are those who have broken the vow of celibacy. The Vanaprastas, or those retired from family life, and the sannyasis, or the renounced persons, cannot break the vow of celibacy if they want success in the process. The brahmacharis, vanaprastas, and sannyasis do not intend to take rebirth, apraja, nor are they meant for secretly indulging in sex life. Such a fall down by the spiritualists may be compensated by another chance for human life in good families of learned brahmanas or of rich merchants for another term of elevation. But the best thing is to attain the highest perfection of deathlessness as soon as the human form of life is attained. Otherwise, the whole policy of human life will prove to be a total failure. Lord Chaitanya was very strict in advising his followers in this matter of celibacy. One of his personal attendants, Chota Haridas, was severely punished by Lord Chaitanya because of his failure to observe the vow of celibacy. For a transcendentalist, therefore, who at all wants to be promoted to the kingdom beyond material miseries, it is worse than suicide to deliberately indulge in sex life, especially in the renounced order of life. Sex life in the renounced order of life is the most perverted form of religious life, and such a misguided person can only be saved if by chance, he meets a pure devotee of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I got cut off here. Well, we went over time. That's it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari.